missed the second one.
So this is a practical test number 1 for ETM 130, Programmable Logic Controllers. We started with a Boolean logic statement, A and B, or A and B and C, or A and B and C and D, and simplified our logic equation down to A and B. Here's our truth table. Basically, if A and B are both off, then the output will be off. The only time the output will be on is when A and B are both true.
Because that's the only way to get a load from that.
Yeah.
This section here shows our wiring diagram with the control logic.
I think that one.
And this here is our programming code that we're going to need to type into our Micro 1 program loader in order to make the program work. Alright, so I know this looks a little messy, but we'll try to walk you through what we've got wired up to the PLC right now. So what we have here is our first input, which is a normally open push button. Alright, here we have a sensor, 3-wire sensor hooked up. And the way those are hooked up is we've got our brown wire on a 3-wire is going to 24 volts power. We're actually using an external 24 volt DC. And we have that jumped over into our COM port of the PLC. Our black wire is the input, and we have that going to input 2. And then our blue wire, we've just got hooked up to ground, coming off that 24 volt power supply. For our 2-wire input is also, the red wire here is hooked up to 24 volts, and then we just have the blue wire going over to input 1 on the PLC. For an output, we have our output here. We're using a relay, and we've got our relay wired to port 200, which is also connected to 120 volts here.
Oh, this is supposed to be
and
another one. I
also
wrote that wrong.
hooked up to ground or neutral L2 on the PLC here.
You know what? Let's redo this.
Alright, so as you can see, if you watch the PLC, if I press the push button,
Shift, enter.
we get input 1 lighting up, and if my partner activates the other sensor, then we get 2, but our logic is load 1 and 2 to get the output. So if he activates the sensor 2 and I activate sensor 1, then we get our output as well. And that's the only time the output will activate.